There's a place on the moon where things don't look the way they should. Not because the moon is changing, but because the light is. This is the Terminator line, the boundary between day and night. A thin, shifting edge where sunlight barely touches the surface. And here, everything becomes uncertain. Shapes stretch beyond recognition, shadows grow longer than they should, and the landscape begins to feel unfamiliar, almost constructed. Look closely. What should be simple craters and ridges start to resemble something else. Lines that look too straight, edges that feel too defined, layers that appear stacked. As if this isn't just random terrain, but something arranged. Now, science has an explanation for all of this. Low-angle sunlight creates extreme shadows, tiny features become exaggerated, our atmosphere distorts the image, making everything shimmer and shift, and yes, that explanation fits. But explanations don't always end curiosity. Sometimes they quiet it. So let's not quiet it. Let's just observe. Watch the shadows, not just where they are, but how they behave. They don't sit still, they ripple, they pulse, they seem to rise and fall like something breathing beneath the surface. Not moving across the moon, but emerging from it, revealing itself only when the light hits just right, and then, just as quickly, it disappears again, hidden in plain sight. Now look here, this formation. A circular edge catching the light, it stands out, defined, almost isolated from everything around it. It looks like a boundary or an opening, something contained or something sealed. We call it a crater, because that's what we've always called shapes like this, but naming something isn't the same as understanding it. The moon has been with us forever, watching, silent, unchanging, or at least, that's what we believe. But what if the moon isn't as simple as it appears? What if we've been looking at it the same way for so long that we've stopped really seeing it? Because when you zoom in like this, when you strip away distance and familiarity, the moon stops looking like a distant object and starts looking like a place. A surface with depth, with structure, with patterns that don't always feel random. And right here, along this fragile line between light and darkness, those patterns become something else entirely. They become suggestive, provocative, unsettling, because they don't just sit there. They change as you watch them, not physically moving, but transforming. As if different layers are being revealed one after another, like something hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to be seen. And maybe that's all this is. Light and shadow, angle and illusion, a trick of perspective. But here's the thing about illusions, they still come from something real. Something has to be there for the illusion to exist. So what are we really seeing? Exaggerated terrain, or details we're not meant to notice unless we look this closely. At this exact moment, the moon has been mapped, studied, photographed, and yet most of us have never seen it like this. Not this close. Not this raw, not at this angle, where the light doesn't hide anything, but instead distorts everything, and distortion can reveal just as much as clarity, because it forces you to question what you're looking at. It breaks familiarity, and once something familiar becomes unfamiliar, you start to wonder. You start to ask questions like, why Why do some of these formations feel so deliberate? Why do certain shapes stand out more than others? Why does the surface seem to shift even when we know it shouldn't? And maybe the most important question of all, how much have we overlooked? Simply because we thought we already understood it. I'm not saying this is proof of anything, but I'm also not saying it's nothing. Because right here, in this narrow band between light and darkness, the moon doesn't behave the way we expect. It plays with perception. It bends what we think we know. And for a moment, just a moment, it stops looking like a lifeless rock in space and starts looking like something else. Something older, something more complex, something that doesn't fully reveal itself. Unless you're willing to look a little longer, a little closer, and maybe ask a few questions you weren't supposed to ask.